Today we're out on court to test the ASICS Solution Speed FF4. Let's get started.
Excited to try the Solution Speed FF4, as I think I've worn every version of the Solution Speed prior. Something that set this one apart right off the bat is I did go up a half size, and I have no regrets at all whatsoever about that. These shoes definitely ran short for me, and the half size was perfect for my feet. I have a medium width foot, and width-wise it fit just fine once I got that half size up, and I didn't have any toe jam. Underfoot, I noticed much more cushioning than the previous version. It felt pretty bouncy, and I still felt really light and fast. The one thing that I did notice from this shoe is I was craving a little bit more support, specifically in my arch area. It is a pretty flexible shoe, and I noticed after wearing them for an hour and beyond, later in the day or that night, I did have some pain in my arches. I actually had a chance to try some insoles, and those were tough because the shoe is so narrow. It has a pretty shallow toe box. The insoles didn't fit really great in the shoe. So I went back to the standard insole that comes with it and just kind of grin and bear through this play test. As far as traction goes, I like that it's not too sticky, but it's not too slick. I'm seeing some smoothing on the outsole, but nothing crazy. I haven't worn a hole in the shoe or anything. And they're really comfortable to wear around. I just, again, was craving a tiny bit more support, especially in that arch area, as I do have a high arch. But I think these are gonna be the best option for you if you're looking for the speediest shoe from ASICS. However, if you're looking for something more durable, more stable, obviously that Gel Res X is gonna be the place to go. But for me, I think I'm still gonna gravitate towards the Court FF as shoe of choice in the ASICS family.
I've worn many of a Solution Speed, and kind of the first couple generations I really enjoyed, and then as the shoe progressed and updated, I liked them, but I never loved them. Safe to say this Solution Speed FF4 is back in my love category. It did everything well for me, and I just overall loved the performance of the shoe. We'll start with fit for me. Like Michelle, I slipped these shoes on my feet, and I felt that the length was just a tad short, and I was a little concerned. I actually went back and forth between my standard size 8 and a half size bigger at 8.5, trying to decide which was the better fit. And ultimately, I did decide to go up to that 8.5, and I am very glad I did. Once I got that 8.5 on my feet, I felt that the width was perfect for me. I have a narrow width foot, and it is a nice snug medium for me. And then underfoot, I felt the arch support was perfect for my medium width feet. And actually, the longer I wore these shoes, the more the arch support molded and supported my arches. Now, when I started walking down to the court, I was a little worried that I was gonna have a break-in period. I thought the upper felt just a tad bit stiff, but I was pleasantly relieved that after about 15 minutes, about the time it took me to warm up, the shoes had nicely opened up just a little bit, kind of softened in the uppers, and really had started to mold to my feet. Once I got going there was nothing that could stop me in these shoes. I loved the combination of comfort and lightweight feel. I felt that there was nice plush cushioning underfoot, a little bit more than previous versions, both in the heel and the forefoot. And I also thought the ankle collar and tongue were nice cushioned as well. And then they also felt really fast and lightweight on my feet. I could move around quickly. I really didn't even have to think about these shoes. And then when it came to support and stability, for me, they got the job done. I did use that last eyelet to really lock in my ankles, but the narrow width really helped support my feet and keep them nice and secure within the shoe. As far as durability, I had 30+ hours on these shoes. I really loved them. I used them indoors, outdoors, a bunch of different hard court surfaces, and looking at the outsole, upper and toe bumper, I'm seeing little to no wear, so very happy in that category. Overall, I can't say enough great things about these shoes, and they're going in my top 3.
I'll start off by saying I think I have the widest feet on the playtest team. So like the others, when I put my feet into these shoes, I did feel they ran a bit short, and they also felt a little bit snug for my wider feet in the forefoot. I tried on that half size larger and found that the width was still a little bit snug for me, but the length fit well. I went with that 6.5 rather than my usual 6 and went down to play. As I was playing, I did notice that because of my wider feet, this P-guard panel on the medial side did offer a little bit of pressure. It never went fully away, but it wasn't super painful either. I do find that these shoes are a little bit more comfortable for my wider feet than some previous versions of the Solution Speed. And I also like this version of the 4. It's been a couple of versions for me since I was actually on the playtest. And I remember previous versions feeling quite high in the heel for me, and I was sitting up higher off the court than I like. I thought that these Solution Speed FF4s felt nice and low to the ground, but still well cushioned, so I felt secure in my movements, and the traction was spot on for me. I never felt stuck, I never was slipping, so I felt really confident there. As time wore on, I did find that the support for me through the arch area was a little bit I don't know if it wasn't quite enough. I do have low arches, but do prefer wearing insoles. I would get sore arches, and also in the evenings after playing, I never noticed any ankle problems when I was playing. However, my ankles were a bit sore after about an hour or 2 on the court. Overall, I think that these shoes are very fast. They are quite comfortable underfoot, but not quite wide enough for me in the forefoot.
I will honestly say that the ASICS Solution Speed FF4 is the best shoe on the market right now. I love the previous generation as well, but I really think ASICS did a great job perfecting this model with some amazing updates. When it comes to sizing, I did have to go up half a size just to find my perfect fit, but after that, there was no break-in time needed for me. Cushioning is absolutely top-notch with this shoe. Comfort levels, because of that, were amazing. If you look at the outsole of the shoe, it's a little bit thicker than the previous version, which also means that you are sitting up just a little bit higher from the court. This might also mean that you don't feel just as connected as the previous generation to the ground, but to be honest, it just took a little adjustment to that new sensation. You still feel very connected. So I will say that if you enjoy the feel of the previous generation, overall, you will get the same kind of sensation wearing these shoes. Even with the added cushioning underfoot, the shoes still managed to stay overall pretty light. On paper, this version is just a little bit more heavy than the previous one, but on foot, you cannot feel that at all. Durability was amazing. I played in these shoes way over 30 hours. I even played some matches on the weekends, and I will say I absolutely loved it. I didn't see barely any wear on the outsole, and any wear that I saw was mainly cosmetic. I think it will take a long time for the outsole to wear down completely. When it comes to traction, I think the outsole was perfect. So it gave me just enough grip, but also let me adjust out of my shots nicely. So it's really actually a great shoe for someone who is looking to be able to slide almost a little bit out of the shots or just adjust a little bit more than usual, but it was never too slippery at the same time. I felt super locked in with every single shot, so stability was incredible. I felt super stable, changing directions very fast, and I will say I'm more of an aggressive mover on court, and with this shoe I could really play my game nicely, and I felt confident with every single step. Now at this point I probably sound like a commercial, which is okay because I mean everything I say, and I definitely think you should check this shoe out. Thanks for watching. For more information on this shoe or any others, please go check out Tennis Warehouse, Tennis Warehouse Europe, or Tennis Only.